Yeah, I mean, this is just by way of introduction. I was just saying that there are people out there who still believe that once a diagnosis has been made, they're stuck with it. And just this week, I had someone reach out to me confused because she had me in another forum talk about reversal of chronic diseases,
Mm,
including diabetes. And she's had diabetes and was ready to go on with it for the rest of her life. But when she
mm,
had me talk about this, she reached out to ask me, what did you mean? Because the team taking care of her had told her that this is not reversible. And, beyond even what we are saying, the codes that doctors use to code for visits when you see them for the insurance to pay? Just
mhm.
sometime last year, or was it 2024? I forget. The years are all kind of getting mashed up together. But they actually have a code now for diabetes mellitus reversed.
Yep.
So if your insurance company, and you know how tough insurance companies are, and they move at the speed of slow porridge in changing anything. So you can imagine if they have already made that change and created an ICD-10 code for reversed diabetes, that tells you that it is something even they are aware it can be done, and the whole medical fraternity is aware that it can be done. So, you know, this is something that we can reverse, and not just diabetes, but a lot of other metabolic diseases. But okay, let's start this call. So, my name is Dr. Esther Ngare. I am a board certified family physician practicing out of Houston, Texas. Uh, you can tell I love teaching. I love letting people know that there are ways to control medical problems. There are ways to feel better. Whatever the diagnosis is, there are ways you can make it better. And all these things lie, you know, with two things at the heart of them: your gut and your sugar control. And that is really why we're here, to continue educating. And I love doing this. I've been doing this for a while, since I started taking the protocol, initially as a skeptic, but soon a believer, and now a believer to the point of passing on this information and sharing it with others. Dr. Tiffany here, my sister doc here, is the doctor that I spoke to right at the beginning, and she made me see the value in it. But I know until I saw it in myself, having known my struggles, I did not think it would work. But once I saw the changes in me, and I have always said, I'll just briefly talk of my story. I have always said I did not have any of the medical problems. I did not have a diagnosis, but I was unwell.
Mm,
When I checked
that's
my
good.
labs, my A1C was good, but I had fatigue. I couldn't lose weight. I was irritable, mood swings. And I just thought, well, this is part of perimenopause. But when I checked my fasting insulin level, because now I knew to check that, it was 57.5. And as you learn from all these things, that below 5 is the optimal level that we are all aiming for. So much as conventional standards said I was not sick, I was really sick. And it was just a matter of time before whatever it is that was brewing reared its ugly head. And the reason we're here is to help people not be stuck in that you're not sick, but you're sick, you feel sick, but you're not well. And you're being told that everything looks okay. That's the reason we're here. And let me let Dr. Tiffany introduce herself. She's been, a
Yes, yes.
formidable force in my journey. And yeah, go ahead.
And I'm so thankful that I was. I literally was just in Vegas trying to enjoy our conference, but I got to meet this lovely doctor here, and that's why this is so much fun. So I am Dr. Tiffany Marie. That's the name I go on social media, and I am board certified in family and lifestyle medicine. And after 20 years of practicing, doing private practice, urgent care, telemedicine across 48 states, I got tired of just managing disease. And I really want to see people heal. And so if you're on this live, I hope you have that desire too. You not only want to see people heal, you want to be healed. How about that? And there's so many tools that can get us there. Lifestyle changes that can get us there. And we're going to talk about incorporating fasting and the tools we love. But we this is all about education, dispelling misinformation. I was on a live earlier today and I said, I'm a disruptor of the sick care system. Yeah, I said that's who I am. I said, I like that title. That's kind of cool. I like it.
Yeah.
It's almost giving me my cake back. So I decided, one, I want to stop doing this stuff I've been doing for years. I want to have an impact. And I started doing these products and I started getting off of my blood pressure medicine, stopped having my hot flashes, my waistline started to look a little better. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that? And my migraines went away. And I started telling this, shouting this from the rooftops, and started meeting awesome people like Dr. Esther and so many other people on this call. But after 20 years of practicing, I can count on my two hands how many people I've helped get off medications. Do you know that I've helped so many more with these natural products and coaching and educating people? Who doesn't want that life? So we figured, let's do this every week. Why not? We can do this. Spill the tea, bust up the misinformation, and just tell the truth. And so that's what we're doing today. Right, Dr. Esther?
Yes, and thank you once again for coming in while you're here. Yeah, I can see people from all over the place. Let us know where you're watching from. And as we said, we are streaming this live, so take a moment, go to your Facebook page and share it onto your pages. Tag people on Dr. Tiffany's page. Let's get everybody to hear what they can do.
Yes, yes. Well, the streaming live is not going as well as I like.
Oh, okay.
There was some update made that is making this difficult. But, I for sure will make sure we have the recording on my page to where people can share it from there too. And the highlights. I like to have highlight reel. Who don't want a
Yeah.
highlight reel? But so I don't want to take too long with people's time because I know it's late, even though we can talk about this forever. I don't want to hold people up, and I want to bring on our guest for tonight. So I want to actually have someone who shares a story that most of us can relate to. So, I'm a professional woman. I like to call myself a boss mom, a boss leader, meaning, used to, well, that's so unprofessional, forgive me. Meaning, used to running everything. And when you're running everything, running businesses, running your household, who's the person that gets taken care of the least? Usually you. And so that's what I found is something that so many of us are hurting. So many of us are clamoring for tools and strategy. And so I was able to meet Dee, and we get to spend time together every week, talking, spilling the tea. And she was gracious enough to join us and share her story. And so thank you so much for coming on, Dee. And I'm
You're
not gonna call
welcome.
you. She's a boss woman, y'all. This is an assistant principal, so boss woman for real, bossing people's kids. So I'm gonna let her say her spiel and get us out the way. But you have the floor, Miss Lady.
Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Deandra. Everybody calls me Dee. Um, I'm from California. We live in Madison, Alabama now, so I get to see Dr. Tiffany every Sunday. So I'm blessed to have met you, Dr. Tiffany. Um, my husband and I actually started the protocol October 15th on our daughter's birthday. And we've been going strong since then. I could say before the protocol, like I'm an educator, a fire wife, almost feeling like a single mom sometimes because being married to a firefighter, um, it was just a lot. I had my career going. I had to come home to my children, homework, feed them, all the things. And over the years, the stress level was just always high. I developed high blood pressure. I'm 48 years old. It's been very difficult for me to lose weight, especially around the belly area. I just figured it's perimenopause. Like, it is what it is. Like, I've had children, even though they're 18 and 22 now. Like, I just never lost the weight. I did, but the belly, all that. So a lot of inflammation. I could say that I would just go through these funks, a little bit of depression, anxiety, major mood swings where I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm irritable, like I don't like people, you know what I mean? I would get angry fast, all the things. I'm trying to see what else I have. Just very emotional, short-tempered. So on the protocol, I could say now, like, I've lost 16 and a half pounds. Yay. And it's like around my stomach, my belly, like My face is starting to thin out. Like I said, the inflammation is going down. I feel better in my clothing. I feel better all around. I'm happy. I like people. Like I can be very introverted, even though I'm an educator. But I feel like it's really brought out the best in me. Like I feel happy. I feel euphoric, mental clarity, brain fog is gone. I can get tons of things. I could always get tons of things done, but now it's just like boom, 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 boom. You know, what else? Let me think. My A1C at one point, and I didn't realize this, it was a 6. So I was pre-diabetic. And I just recently got my blood work and it's down to 5.5. So I'm not even pre-diabetic anymore, which I'm happy for. My blood work was really great. So I'm excited about that. I eventually want to get off my blood pressure medicine, but I'm kind of waiting for my doctor to give me the okay. And I think with more weight loss, it will happen. You know, we've been rucking, which is we use weighted vest and we go on hikes on our trails. So I have so much energy, like it's crazy. Like, and it's good energy. It's not like I'm jittery or anything like that. It's like I just feel great. Let me see what else. I like I hate cleaning, but you know what? I'll get up on a Saturday morning and like let's just clean, you know. And so it's been nonstop energy, and I love it. And again, I feel happy, excited. Like I'm a lifer. Like I finally found something that has helped me, because at one point in my life I was like, life should not feel this way. What is wrong with me? Got on, and I'll end it here. Like I did start doing like hormonal type things. It was like the pellets, and I don't think that helped me very much. If anything, I got acne and I got hair where I didn't want it. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, that's kind of embarrassing, but it's the truth. And like now, this is what I needed and what my husband's needed. Our 18-year-old is on it, and we love it. So that's my testimony.
And that's good. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. You know what I did love about that, Dr. E, is I love how, now she's going on hikes. How about that? That's the stuff we want you to do. We want you to do the exercise. We want you to make these changes. It's that these tools, I like to say these tools are like going to a fist fight with a knife. Okay.
Can I say one last thing?
Oh, of course.
Being on the protocol, the food noise has gone away.
Yes.
So all the snacking I was doing, spiking my insulin, all that kind of stuff, it's subsided. Not that I don't snack once in a while, but it really has helped with the food noise. So
yes, yes. Well, thank you. I love your story. You are the women that I strive to reach, and you are doing such an awesome time sharing your story. I love this how we get to see everybody grow. We see everybody grow, share what they're doing, be stronger. What? Health ambassadors, helping other people. So I love it. I love it. So, Dr. Esther,
Yes.
what are we doing? I mean, what are we talking about? What is the big issue? I mean, Dee comes on here talking about all these symptoms, and lots of times we think we're just normal, but because our labs don't look bad, but what's going on?
No, as I've mentioned my story there. I was not sick, but was unwell. And what we need to know about our healthcare system is that it's a sick care system. It's almost like it's not designed to know what to do when you're in that in-between space. And yet we are saying that 93% of Americans, at least even just talking about this country, 93% of us are metabolically unhealthy. But only about maybe 50% have an actual diagnosis of a metabolic or a gut imbalance disease. So what happens to the other 43? That 43% is actually in limbo.
Yeah, me
thinking they're well because their lab work looks okay.
Exactly.
Not to be bougie, but to be
I'm to be.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thinking they're well because their lab work looks fine, but yet they know they don't feel great. And that is one of the groups that we want to target with this. Sometimes it's good to actually have a diagnosis because then you know what you need to do. But when you're in this phase where you're thinking that everything is fine and you're just a ticking time bomb, waiting for something to happen. And we know that disease and bad outcomes do not wait for a diagnosis label. They can happen at any point, even before that diagnosis label happens. And that is why it is so important for us to keep talking and teaching about the things that we need to be looking at beyond lab values. And one of the most common lab values that almost everybody now knows is the A1C. You know, people know what's my A1C because that's the one, you're told, and we need to check this to screen you for diabetes. So we're aware of what an A1C is, but what does it really check? And why does it matter? And why does it matter to know more about it beyond what conventional numbers and lab values tell us? And that is what I'm going to be talking about today. And I will share my screen here. You'll see. Oh.
We see your screen.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so as I said, we're going to talk about, beyond A1C and the hidden effects of what is happening to your body, even as you monitor that A1C. What does it mean? What do those numbers mean? What does it mean in terms of what has actually happened in your body to have that number be labeled as abnormal or trending towards abnormal? So why this talk matters, as I said, is that many people feel tired, we're gaining weight, we have brain fog, we have joint aches, we have muscle aches, we're not sleeping well, we are moody, we just know something is not right, but we go to our doctors, and in the 7 minutes we have with them, they quickly go through the labs and they say, your labs are normal. And now you're left to go figure out, what do I do? And they tell you need to do some lifestyle changes. And no guidance exactly on what that is, except move more, eat less. And we know that, I'm sure many of us have done that for years, move more, eat less, and really didn't get to where we wanted to be and didn't feel any better. And really one of the reasons is the protein damage from sugar that has been going on, but doesn't really show up on your lab work. So what does A1C mean? And that number, the hemoglobin A1C, that's what it is, which is looking at the glycation of hemoglobin. These are just big words that really mean something simple. Glycation is when sugar sticks to proteins in your body. We just like to give them big words so that we confuse people, but really that's what it means. Think of caramelizing something. We've all done recipes where you're caramelizing something. That is really what is happening to your proteins. It's almost like you're cooking them. Or think of when you put chicken in the oven to brown it. That's really a glycation process of the proteins in the skin of the chicken. So over time, this glycation, the sugar attaching to your proteins, causes damage to how these proteins work. Because if they didn't have sugar, that means that's not the way the perfect design was supposed to be. When they start having sugar attached to them, then that is a problem. So what does A1C measure? As I said, A1C pretty much is a short form of hemoglobin A1C. It measures sugar stuck to one protein, which is the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a protein in red blood cells, and which is the transport protein molecule inside your red blood cells. It's the one that carries your oxygen. And that's why when you have low hemoglobin, you have anemia. And of course, that means your cells are struggling to receive oxygen. So when you have protein stuck to the hemoglobin, and when you have sugar stuck to this protein called hemoglobin, that is what your A1C is measuring. But beyond that hemoglobin, sugar can stick to many other proteins. And you wonder, why don't we measure those others? Well, because you'll see when I talk about this protein, some of them are in your brain, some of them are in your islands. Now, the only way to get those is maybe do a punch biopsy and get a little bit of that. And I'm sure none of us wants your brain punched, holes punched in your brain or in your retina or in your islands to measure something. So the easiest one is blood, look at the protein in blood and see one of the most abundant proteins in blood and see how much sugar is tacked to it. And that in itself is a picture of what is happening to the other proteins in your body. And that's the one message I want you to get here, that when you are looking at your A1C, whatever that number tells you about how much sugar is stacked to your proteins, think about most of all the other proteins in your body and know that the same thing is happening to them. So proteins that are affected by sugar damage, sugar can damage proteins in the blood vessels, in the skin, in the eyes, in the brain, in the joints, in the mitochondria, which are the energy factories that are actually inside our cells. So we'll talk about each of those. And this is just, we know there's so many proteins in the body. These are just a few of them that I just want to highlight because they're responsible for a lot of the things that we feel. So sugar damage to collagen. Collagen is what keeps our skin, our joints, and our blood vessels strong, flexible, pliable, giving us the suppleness in our looks and everything. When sugar sticks to collagen, we have tissue stiffening, healing slows down. One of the commonest things is think about diabetic ulcers. What happens to them? What do we say about people with diabetes if they get a wound? It takes forever to heal. One of the reasons is because of sugar damage to the collagen. Arteries become less flexible. When you think of your blood vessels becoming less flexible, then what is happening? It means your blood pressure starts going up. And that is how we know sugar damage ends up leading to high blood pressure. Your tissues stiffen. And when things are stiff, it means they can easily break. They're easily damaged. You can easily injure them. Your ligaments can easily be injured. Your skin starts breaking down. And, there's that thing that we say that when you're dealing with insulin resistance and too much sugar circulating in your system, one of the things is that it ages you. And that's because the collagen, which is one of those proteins in your skin, has been damaged, and now you're looking older than you should. Then sugar damage to the elastin, that is the protein in your blood vessels. It's also the protein in your lungs, and again, also in your skin. Again, they become stiff, your blood pressure rises, your tissues lose flexibility. Now imagine this in your lungs. It worsens disease. And that's why we talk about, diseases getting worse, and even things like COPD, chronic asthma. And that's part of the reason where you see some of the people giving testimonials saying, I was on oxygen prior to this. And once I started, the protocol that we're going to talk about later, you wonder, why did they come off oxygen? Well, these are some of the reasons. Once you start reducing that sugar that's attached to these proteins. Then sugar damage to cholesterol. So sugar can damage the LDL particles. And when these LDL is some of the particles are there in your cholesterol. When you get your lipid panel done, one of the numbers that you see is the LDL. And once these LDL particles are damaged, they oxidize easily and they stick to artery walls. We don't like things sticking to our arterial walls. We want those blood vessels, they're like pipes. We want them to remain clean. You don't want things sticking inside them, because if something's sticking inside there, it means there's a blockage. And we all know what happens when there's a blockage in your blood vessels. You're talking about the risk for heart attacks. You're talking about the risk for stroke. You're talking about the risk for any other part of the body going without enough blood supply. And nobody wants that. Then sugar damage to albumin. Now, albumin is the body's transport protein, not just the one that is inside the red blood cells like the hemoglobin. But this is outside the red blood cells. It's the one in the liquid part of your blood. It's the most abundant protein in the blood, and its job is to carry everything. You know, your hormones, your nutrients, medications, fatty acids. We take this thing, some of these things through the mouth. We apply things on our skin. We put things, we spray some things, and we expect this medications or this foods to get to where they need to work. Now, what carries that? It's the albumin. So that's why if your albumin is damaged, then you're having problems with transport becoming less efficient. And your metabolic health worsens, because if you're not getting hormones where they need to be, then there's a problem. If you're not getting nutrients where they need to be, and that's again another thing when we talk about this protocol and we're talking about people being able to put on muscle weight. When they start, there's people who say they've been struggling, they've had malabsorption, they're emaciated, they just cannot put on weight, and now they're clinically underweight. And then they start on this protocol and they're putting on weight. This is why once you get that albumin to be more efficient, because it doesn't have to carry around sugar, then it can carry around the things it needs to. Then your eye lenses. Proteins in the eye lens, that's not sugar on the proteins in the eye lens, that's not something you want, because then they become cloudy, and that's why we find people with cataracts. And I'm sure you've seen people struggling with cataracts even without a diagnosis of diabetes. And when I was in medical school, I remember we thought of cataracts as something that happens to people in their 70s at the earliest. It was 80s and 90s. But I have seen now people with cataracts in their 40s. And you're wondering, why is that? Well, we all know what is happening to our bodies, and too much sugar circulating, and it's getting stuck to the proteins in the eye lenses. Sugar damage to the brain proteins. It may contribute to brain fog, that thing that a lot of us talk about, where you just feel your brain is foggy. Cognitive decline and neurodegeneration. This is why we call Alzheimer's now diabetes type 3. The other thing is that when you have protein damage, even to the blood-brain barrier, which is the protein barrier that protects the inside of your brain from anything outside, because the brain is really a hallowed area. You want it protected. You don't want things circulating in any toxin circulating in your bloodstream to get into that area, because that's why there's that blood-brain barrier. That's why we talk of medications that cross that barrier. There are medications that don't. And really, you want to be careful about protecting that space. But if this protein barrier now has sugar molecules attached to it, and these proteins are not sticking to each other smoothly, and now you have holes in there, and things could get in there. And that's why you hear people, even with bipolar disease, with schizophrenia, with PTSD, it gets worse when they have less sugar control. When they take care of that, it actually helps them to be able to manage their symptoms better. Sugar damage to energy production. I talked about sugar getting attached to the mitochondria. Energy drops, fatigue. That's a big one. That's what I had, But as far as the lab work was concerned, I was fine. But the fatigue was just beyond me. When you start hating afternoons and hating any afternoon responsibilities because you just want to sleep and you're so tired, and I'm wondering, what do these people want from me? Just leave me alone. That fatigue can really interfere with so many things. It interferes with people's careers where you're not performing the way you should. It interferes with our responsibilities, whatever it is that we do, where your day is now no longer a good 8-hour working day. It's like 6 hours, because there's 2 hours at some point in the day where you're just struggling with fatigue and looking at the clock waiting for when is the time going to be so that I can go home. Sugar damage and chronic inflammation. So the advanced glycation end products, when sugar sticks to them, when sugar sticks to proteins that are responsible for our immune system, we get what we call the advanced glycation end products. And this is what triggers inflammation through the body. inflammation, which leads to increased heart disease, diabetes complication, brain aging, kidney disease. The other things that we sometimes forget that this is part of inflammation is fibromyalgia. Many people are told you have fibromyalgia, and this is just every part of your body is just so inflamed that you're just in pain everywhere. You can't even figure out exactly what hurts. And, because every part of you just feels like it hurts. So where sugar damages the body, you can say it's pretty much everywhere. I forgot to mention that when sugar attaches to the citrulline proteins in your joints, you end up getting arthritis. And you find a lot of people complaining of arthritis, even when it's not really from overuse. But they say, my knees hurt, my shoulders hurt, my hips hurt, simply because of the damage to the cartilage in these joints. So this protein damage can happen years before, diabetes or pre-diabetes even happens. Because again, what we are aware of is what is happening to our A1C, the hemoglobin A1C. So you may have a normal hemoglobin A1C, normal glucose, but still feel unwell because the number at which, sure, put it in the chat. What number do you know is not a good one to have for A1C? When does prediabetes start? When should you start being worried? Put it in the chat. Let me see what you know. Or what you've been told, what you've had. Dr. Tiffany, can you see what they're putting in there?
Yes, I do. I see 5.7. Somebody knows some stuff. 5.7, 5.8. Daryl says 6.5 because some people do think that that's when you need to be worried is when you get diagnosed with diabetes. 6.2, above 5.6. We have a lot of people that know because prediabetes gets diagnosed 5.7 to 6.4. But yeah, we have lots of people that don't know. Great. Yep. There seems a lot of consensus. We got a lot of smarties in the room.
Okay. Well, sorry to bust your bubble, but this sugar damage that I'm talking about, it starts at an A1C of about 5.2. So way before you even ever get to worry about your A1C, because it's 5.7 and now you're told you have prediabetes, you're already getting the proteins in your body getting damaged. And that's why that very tight sugar control is so important. And to know that we need now to look at our A1Cs in a different light. These numbers that we're talking about, the 5.7 or the 6.5, these are just lab constructs. What the lab does is, what they've done over time is, I'm sure we all learned something about the curves, the S curves and everything, like where do most people fall who show symptoms? So most people who showed symptoms of diabetes were at an A1C of 6.5 and above. And so they said at 6.5, you have diabetes. But there's nothing magical that happens between 6.4 and 6.5 to turn you from pre-diabetes to diabetes. The continuum of damage is the same. And right from 5.6 and above, you should not be even thinking that I have pre-diabetes. I remember they used to, when my mom was telling me there's nothing like a little pregnant or pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. And it's the same analogy I use. There's nothing like pre-diabetes or diabetes. It's really the moment anybody tells you that you're in the pre-diabetes range, start acting like you have diabetes because you need to put in the work and the effort to get out of that range. But even beyond that is to do what needs to be done in terms of that lifestyle modification, tightening it down to get that A1C to 5.2 and below. So we know that the things that you can do, as I said, you want to control your blood sugar spikes. So by reducing refined carbohydrates, pair carbs with fibers and protein, improve your metabolic flexibility. Metabolic flexibility is really being able to switch from carb burning to protein burning, from carb burning to fat burning. Some people lose that ability when you've just been burning carbs for so long because you always have high blood sugar, you lose the ability to switch easily to fat burning. So by improving metabolic flexibility, you actually regain that quick switch. Build muscle, because muscle improves insulin sensitivity, and muscle actually is a sponge that just pulls sugar out of your bloodstream, even without the work of insulin. If you have good lean muscle, you're able to sponge up quite an amount of glucose out of your bloodstream. Increase protective foods. Those are fiber-rich foods, vegetables with polyphenols. Reduce the dietary advanced glycation and products, that is avoiding ultra-processed foods. Cook with lower temperatures when possible. Support recovery of these proteins. Good sleep, stress reduction. Key life strategies, as I have said, this is just a quick summary of the things that I've talked about there. And so, just as I said, A1C just tells us part of the story. It's not the full story. And true metabolic health is not just about a good A1C. It's about protecting all the proteins in the body. And that is why we need to be aiming for an even lower A1C. Wherever you're at, just try and aim lower. This is the one time where, we say you aim lower, not aim higher. We want to aim for a lower A1C. So when we protect our proteins, we protect our arteries, our brains, our energy. And, as I said, metabolic health is really about protecting the proteins in our bodies. Thank you.
That is so great, Dr. Esther. And so please go ahead and put in the chat how much you appreciated Dr. Esther's presentation, because it was good. It was good. And she had y'all talking about the numbers to where we have trouble, and everybody was saying pre-diabetes. And she was like, nope, that's not it. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's the spilling the tea. That's the spilling the tea. So yeah. This was good. This was good. So now you guys are putting that in the chat. So while I'm pulling up this presentation, if I have people who are on this Zoom call who have had good results with the products I'm about to show, go ahead and put some stuff in there. Let's amp up the chat so we can get some momentum going about what I'm about to tell you about, what we're doing, what things we're adding to the lifestyle changes that Dr. Esther was talking about. Because like I said earlier, for those of you that joined later, you can do this stuff with the lifestyle changes. Yes, that's like fighting with your fists, right? Yeah, you're going to fight, but what if you bring a knife to that fist fight? Okay, you shut it down. That's what these products do. These products amplify so much of what you're trying to do to where the results you get, you're like, oh my gosh, okay. So this helps me do those lifestyle changes. Dee, when she did her story, she was like, okay, now I'm going on hikes with my hubby. That's awesome. That's not what she was doing before. We've talked before, and she was like, yeah, now I'm out running the young teachers, okay? Because Dee's an assistant principal. Now I'm out running the young teachers when we're in the hallway, or out running some of the kids, okay? That's the stuff I'm talking about. Those are the lifestyle changes. So when we're talking about these products, and I'm not sure what was in that chat, would anybody put in their results? What was in that chat, Dr. E? What do people put in there?
Oh, I haven't seen people haven't. Oh. D put in weight loss, mental clarity, better mood, more energy, inflammation down. My A1C is down to 5.5. I will tell you mine. I mean, I did not have an issue with my A1C, but I had a very high fasting insulin. It came down from 57.5 to 2.5 in 3 months. And it has remained below 5, which is the optimal level. I also have lost 30 pounds and almost 9 inches off my waistline. Ooh. And I feel great. I have a lot of energy. My days now are more productive. I have, and I like to believe that people aren't walking around me on eggshells, like they're walking on eggshells, because of wondering, what mood are we getting today? So, and actually, I do remember somebody in the fall telling me she had noticed that there was a lighter spirit around me. And when your friend notices that, something has changed. So
Yes.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
much more than we're even able to measure. There are a lot of these subtle and unmeasurable changes, but people see and they feel them around you. So,
Yeah, yeah. It's like you don't realize that you weren't really feeling good till you stop feeling good. And you're like,
yep.
oh, this is what good feels like. Okay. Yeah. I was telling somebody about that earlier. So Dr. Esther did such a great job talking about the glycation and insulin resistance. But I like this wheel right here because there's something about pictures, right? Pictures and seeing somebody squeezing their belly fat or somebody with hand pain or migraines or understanding that PCOS, the polycystic ovarian syndrome, is a condition really hugely linked to insulin resistance. And that's where women can't have children. It's a leading cause of infertility. You see cancer on here. You see fatty liver, heart disease, Alzheimer's, things that we thought they're not related, erectile dysfunction. And Dr. E went through a good breakdown of how all these things are related. But here are some symptoms to look out for: the constant cravings, the constant fatigue, of course, the dark skin folds, to where you feel like, that look maybe dirt. You're trying to scrape it off. It's not coming off. It's not dirt. That's actually an overgrowth of skin, making darkness because it's over layers of skin. Okay. Skin tags, which everybody thinks, oh, it is. If you have more than 5 or 6 of those, there's the studies to prove that it is related or linked significantly to insulin resistance. And so once you understand the symptoms, then you know, okay, what do I need to ask my doctor about? So if my labs are normal, I'm having all these symptoms, I know I need to be asking for more information, right? So how did we get here? Constant eating and doing the carbohydrates because they get broken down into glucose. So when we say sugar, we're talking about blood glucose. That's the blood sugar. And so we've lost the fiber on all those things because taking out the fiber makes them easier to eat, makes it easier to overeat. That wasn't done by accident, that was done on purpose. You can't eat just one was not a slogan just to be said. They meant that. They wanted you to eat the whole bag of chips. And the reality is, so many people do, okay? Because we're missing the fiber to stop or dampen the effect of that glucose. And so we need to bring the fiber back. And so that's what one of the products does. Is the balance part of this is it actually curbs the appetite. When you eat it right before you meal, not eat it, but drink it right before you meal, it thickens up like in that picture. So it makes a coating around what you're eating to decrease the glucose and the cholesterol getting in the bloodstream. And at the same thing, helps with healthy weight management. Okay. And when we're trying to do time-based eating, it allows you to feel full a little bit longer so you can miss a meal, so you can tap into the healing power of fasting. Okay. And then there's studies. The University of Sydney looked at and saw that it decreases glucose and insulin significantly, even more when it's more than just one packet. Okay. And this particular product has been out for 30 years. And when it was studied by the Cleveland Clinic, what they showed is that it actually rivals cholesterol lowering medications. A nutraceutical can actually help lower cholesterol as possibly well as the prescription cholesterol medications. And we see that happening for people. And then the Unamate part of this is the yerba mate extract. And this extract has chlorogenic acid in it. That's one of the main ingredients. It's a polyphenol, it's an antioxidant. It plays a huge role in all those things that Dr. Esther was talking about. Supports feelings of well-being. There's theobromine that helps with the mood, helps with the hangry. My kids like to say, since I've been using these products, it's like I'm at a hippie camp all the time. I'm just in this hippie phase of my life. And so and we noticed that when we're together, it's like nobody's getting into arguments. Okay, after all this time, I have not gotten into an argument with anybody, and you would think that is not real. Okay, but it's the tea. It's the tea. That's why we're spilling it, right? But it has something to help with the energy. You have it to where it actually boosts glutathione, so that helps you actually what is that? That's the recovery after you're doing your exercise. So we get the energy to help us exercise even more, but that muscle recovery even improves. Okay. And it boosts GLP-1. So I have people on this live. And so I know you have heard of GLP-1 because that's the term that is given to those shots, Ozempic, Wegovy, which actually increase, they bind to a receptor to pretend like they're your GLP-1 hormone. Well, your gut makes this GLP-1 hormone. And when we feed it the right things, like with that balance I just showed you earlier, we're able to see that GLP-1 even increase 60 to 70% when you're fasting. And the chlorogenic acid makes that even better. We get better use of our energy. We get weight being able to be lost. And those are some great things that people are looking for. But if you don't need to lose weight, you won't lose weight because our bodies are just that brilliant and know how to go after what you need to address. Now, how do we use these two products? Well, we couple it with intermittent fasting, and breakfast is the easiest meal to miss without looking like a weirdo for most people. But if you have a family, missing dinner is a little harder to miss without people having some questions, okay? So most of us skip breakfast and we start sipping on that yerba mate extract drink. We start sipping on the tea, we sometimes like to call it. And we do that over 3 or 4 hours, get it in our system, almost like a slow IV drip. And then when it's time before lunch, we take the fiber blend, we mix that in our bottle, less water, and it thickens up. And you drink that about 5 minutes before your meal. You just chug it back, chug it back. You have your lunch. And then after lunch, you start the next yerba mate drink and you start sipping on that. And if you want to have extra sugar control or extra weight control, sometimes some of us add an extra balance with that dinner meal. Okay. 2 products, 1 system. And then, so what are the things we see? We see people have an improvement in their gout. Their A1C is going from 13.8 to 5.9, losing 89 pounds. I mean, Delana losing, how much weight she lose? I can't remember how much weight. It's not in here. But lowered her cholesterol 76 points, triglycerides 120 points, blood pressure better, off of her sleep apnea machine and all her medications. A1C from 7.9 to 5.4 and lost 50 pounds. I mean, going from a 4XL to an XL and going from 11 meds to 2 meds a day. Who doesn't want that? That's what I wanted. Less prescriptions, more living is literally my hashtag. And then lost 63 pounds, this last lady over here. No vertigo, skin clearing up because that inflammation got better. That toast. Yvette likes to say when that glycation of the skin is like toasting is what happens, which is why our skin looks so old. Well, it's amazing that when we start using these products and start reversing insulin resistance, we all have better looking skin. It's just shiny, it's glowy, it's dewy. Those are the fun things that make what we do so important. And so that's why Dr. Esther and I get on here and do this every Wednesday, unless we have a business call we have to do. But this is what we do. We do this because we want to see people's lives change. We want to help people. And I no longer want to sit and watch people struggle. I don't want to keep seeing people struggle. That is no fun for me. I am over that part in my life. I want to see people live their best lives. And the reality is, no one's going to save you for your health. No one's going to save your health but you. You got to get tired enough with the life you currently live to take a chance on something that can give you your life back. And I can't make that happen for you. But I tell you, when it does, you are excited just like us. You are all bubbly thinking, who's this person? Because you've gotten your life back. And so if you know anybody who is interested in what we're doing and wants to actually use these products, then definitely connect with the person that invited you. Dr. Esther, any parting words you have for these people that have joined us on tonight?
So before actually I do the parting words, someone here, Diana, from the UK. Thanks, Diana, for joining us. She's asking, I'm here to find out if you feel products can help me. I am 85. I eat nutritionally aware. I don't need preservatives, but I have belly fat and a thickened waist. My metabolism seems to have died. I'm not diabetic and I've had tests on everything past 2 months. All tests passed. I'm antagonistic if hungry and tired after eating. I am gluten and dairy free. I need to lose 28 pounds or 12 kilos, yet I don't snack or overeat. Can your products help? Well, Diana, this is, you are the classic person that these products help. When we have done everything, we're trying to be aware of what we are doing, but we are still struggling. It's because we're still not taking care of those two things that are at the heart of why we get sick. The insulin resistance, as you say, the belly fat and the thickened waist, those are things that tell us you're insulin resistant. You are tired after eating and probably sleepy. You are antagonistic while hungry. And then you also say that you are gluten and dairy free. Sometimes people do these things because of what they feel in their gut. And we sometimes mistakenly think it's because of we have intolerances to food. Yes, you actually may have that intolerance, but it's because you don't have the robustness and the diversity of that gut microbiome to be able to take care of the diversity of foods that we have to eat. And these products, as we said, one will help with the energy, will help you with the insulin resistance. And actually, the two of them will do that. But then the balance, in addition, will help by feeding your gut microbiome to increase its diversity and make it thrive so that you have good gut balance. And these two things working together will actually give you the results you're looking for. And yes, Diana, we have people even, I think I've had someone with a grandparent at 102 who's using this protocol and doing well. The thing is that this is food. It just happens to be packaged in a very easy way, efficient way for you to get everything that you need in this little 2 packs to take every day. Mm-hmm. Now, my parting shot, as Dr. Tiffany asked me to say, when we feel well, when we are healthy, health is an investment that keeps paying over and over. When you're healthy, you're able to be more present for your family. You're able to put in more and be more productive at work, or is it in your business? Wherever it is, when you're healthy, kingdom work gets done more efficiently. We're able to reach more people because we're not sitting in our houses with knees that don't work. And so we're able to actually go out there. And you put in more work in whatever it is you want to apply yourself to. Sickness, on the other hand, as someone said, is a subscription that you cannot cancel. The only way to cancel that subscription or to get out of it is to actually get healthy so that it turns into an investment. So we owe it to ourselves not to get to subscriptions that we can't cancel. So we don't want to get sick, or we want to halt the decline into disease by pulling ourselves back towards health. So wherever you are in this journey, whether it is the not well, you feel, but you're being told you're really not sick, or you already have a diagnosis, or you're just saying, I do not want to get there. This protocol is for you. Invest in yourself, take a chance on yourself, and get healthy.
Yes. Oh, that's good. I think you did great with that. Well, I want to thank you all. We both want to thank you all for joining this live. I think that was a mic drop moment. But for those of you who have seen us do this Sister Docs live, you know we're about to go to the next phase. So yes, we want to get people we love healthy. We want you healthy, but we also want to have an impact. So if that's something you want to hear more about, you have about 5 minutes. We're going to not wait too much longer than 5 minutes, and we're going to move right into that. And if this is not for you, please feel free to go ahead and leave. That is okay. But I bet if you stayed and listened, you might know somebody that might benefit from this opportunity, because generational health, and generational wealth are real things, and they are linked. You cannot have wealth and be sick. That is a miserable place to be. You do not want to have all your health and then don't have the money to live your life. So we're going to talk about ways to be able to get them both. And if that's something you're interested in, we're going to let you, we're going to talk more about that. And we're going to let our hype girl, Josephine, transition us as I, stop the recording on this and get us moving to the next phase.